The last thing I wanted to ask you about was just in terms of the self-publishing process, because it looks like most of your books,
Yeah.
apart from I think Mirror Mirror, which
Yeah.
is your non-fiction book, were
Yeah.
are self-published. So,
Yeah.
which I think is an area that a lot of young people would perhaps be interested in knowing a bit more what that process is
Mhm.
like. And why did you decide to go down that path, I guess, as a writer as well?
No, it's a really good question. One I wish I could talk about more honestly. So I had 4.5, or maybe even 5 manuscripts I wrote. So I wrote the Queendom duology. Actually, I wrote the Dark trilogy. Those were the first books I wrote. Then I wrote the Queendom duology, and then I wrote Ruthless Land. And I knew that they were good. I knew that I knew there's always room to be better. And even though they hold a very special place in my heart, because these are the characters that I started out with, people have actually said this one, because it's my latest, is my best. I knew they were books that were worth something, and I did do pitching. I pitched. I did maybe 1 or 2 rounds of pitches to agents, not so much publishing houses, because the advice is find an agent, because if you've pitched the publishing houses, your agent has nothing to go with, or submitted to the slush fund of the publishing houses. And I thought, this is exhausting. This is not just exhausting, but it relies on chance in a way that even to me, a normal job interview process, an application process doesn't. And I've got these manuscripts piling up. What is the point? Like, what can I do to differentiate myself so that when I do go back and try to find an agent, rather than being, hi, I'm the 20th person to email you today, and I want you to represent me, and I've not done anything, but I've got a cracker of a manuscript. What can I do that's going to set me apart? And so I thought, well, I've got these manuscripts and I can self-publish them. So I did the research. I spoke to a few people. I got a really good piece of advice from my godfather, just generally talking about career advancement. And he said, rather than ask for something more or less, and these are my words now, like build something or do something, which is actually how I joined Lovel's Way. I thought, rather than asking the community for something, why don't I give something to the community? So I'm very fortunate. My father is just a bit of a computer nerd, so he does a lot of my technical things that I don't want to do, the formatting. And then I'm so ungrateful when there's a formatting issue and I'm like, you did this thing. Like any good child. Again, I'm fortunate. I have a graphic designer, or I know a graphic designer who I happened to meet relatively early in his career. So he's really happy to work with me and also take a lot of very pedantic direction from me. So I think I was lucky. And I did my research, and then I found mostly the Bookstagram community, and then obviously the Lovel's Way community. And I started really just hustling to get people to read my books. I would contact Bookstagrammers who had lovely profiles and over a certain number of followers, and I'd say, would you be interested in a review copy? That's, I think, the hardest thing to do for me is the hustle. You always have to be contacting people, be asking if they were, and I back my books, but I'm also not going to be like, hey, I've written a great book, you should read it and review it favorably. Like, that just feels smarmy. So I think hustling authentically, if that's a thing, I think that's probably what I'd tell people. Know what your channels are going to be, and how you want to interact with your readership. So now I'm 7 books in, and so of course I'm a complete control freak, and I like that I have control over every part of the process. I like that I control my timeline. I like that I control, and I'm good at hitting my own deadlines. That's something else that I'm just fortunate in that I'm intrinsically able to do. I think that's probably, you know, I've done my research, but I also am learning every day. You know, I'll read articles on what are the publishing trends. I'll go looking for ways to market, new ways to market. I brought someone on board to help me with my marketing strategy as well. It's an area I don't have training in. I don't also have the time or interest to read up, to have the level of knowledge. And she does a great job. She also more or less manages my website and has set up my website. So I think my general advice would be read and know who to ask for help. You know, acknowledge where you don't know something and you're not going to be good enough. But the process for me was about, and I mean, I haven't pitched yet. I haven't started to contact agents. I was thinking that might be a 2021 goal, but we'll see. My hope is, though, that if I do start to contact people, that I have a little bit more differentiation because I've written books already. I've got that known quantity. Bless you to whoever sneezed in the background.